Hey everybody. Now you may have noticed that I recently took down my original video about thrust attacks. Now the reason for that is because I realized after I had filmed that and posted that I had made two big mistakes. The first mistake was that I had neglected to introduce a new type of footwork called lunges. And the second mistake was that I had actually taken two different video assignments and smashed them together, and it was just way too much for a single video assignment. I had originally planned on doing them as two separate assignments, and then when I started filming, I just got excited and forgot and went and did the whole thing all together. So now what I've done is I've taken the video off. I'm going to reshoot a couple parts of it. I'm going to re-edit it, and I'm going to take that old video and split it up into two parts. So first, you're going to see the introduction from that original video. Then I'm going to interrupt and teach you about lunges. Then you're going to see the instruction part of that video where I describe how to do basic thrust attacks. And then I'm going to come back in and show you a new simple exercise that you're going to do. All right, let's get started. For this last video this week, we're going to be discussing an entirely different way of attacking, and that is the thrust attack. So for these attacks, we're not going to be attacking with an edge at all. So we don't need to worry so much about attacking with a true edge, because we're instead going to be attacking with the tip of the sword or the point. These are going to be thrust attacks. And in fact, these are actually far more efficient and deadly blows. From a historical standpoint, this is really where fencing started to evolve and change. As metallurgy and blacksmiths became more proficient with their technology and were able to create harder, sturdier, and lighter weight materials that are able to be stronger, hold an edge, and still be lightweight, the swords began to become much, much thinner because they no longer needed to be big, heavy, and thick, much, much longer, and eventually they would lose the edge and just become very, very long needles where the only goal is just to stab your opponent and just get the tip of your blade in a few inches into their body. That right there is extremely deadly and very effective at dispatching an opponent. And even if they don't die immediately, back then antibiotics were not a thing, and so people would often die of infections a few days later. In fact, there's even stories of people coating their blades in feces and other disgusting stuff intentionally so that they could cause infections in their opponents. Not a very nice thing to do, but the French small sword that the rapier eventually evolved into was the most deadly dueling weapon in history. More people went to their deaths in duels in small sword than with any other weapon, including handguns. Okay, so we're going to be doing thrust attacks. Let's take a look at what they look like. I'm back. Everything making sense so far? As I mentioned, I'm now going to introduce a new type of footwork called lunges. So let's take a look. Okay, lunges start from an en garde position. So let's just really quickly recap the three most important features of our en garde position. First of all, it's a three-dimensional stance, meaning I have width in my feet and I have depth. Number two, everything is on line. So my eyes are on line, my shoulders are pointing forward, my front knee, my front toe, my hips, most importantly, are pointing forward, and my back foot is at a 45-degree angle. And that's only because it would be very uncomfortable and awkward to be standing with both of my feet pointing forward. So I allow you to have a 45-degree angle there, but do not allow it to become a 90-degree angle, which will pull your hips offline. Keep it 45. And of course, the third most important thing, that we're going to sink down into it and stay low. Okay, so a lunge is a type of footwork that delivers an attack to our opponent. And it looks like this. En garde, and extend, lunge. And then I recover. And one more time, I extend, lunge. And then I can recover. And I can do this with my other foot forward as well. So I extend, lunge. And recover, extend, lunge, recover. And from a different angle here, extend, lunge, and recover, extend, lunge, and recover. And other foot forward, and extend, lunge, recover, extend, lunge, recover. So here's what's going on. First off, as I mentioned later in this video, we always start by extending our weapon. So right now I am pretending that I've got my rapier here in my dominant hand, and I will extend that and allow the movement of the weapon to pull my body into the lunge. I never do the extension and the lunge at the same time, And I absolutely do not do the lunge and then the extension. It is always extension followed by the lunge. Now, my non-dominant hand, my active hand here without a weapon in it, is going to counterbalance that by extending off to the side. It remains inside my peripheral vision, meaning I can still see it, but it's there to help counterbalance me. And when I recover, I can use the motion of my left hand pulling in to help me recover quickly. Competitive fencers do this. That's why you'll usually see them with their hands up here or out here. And when they lunge, they throw their hand back behind them to help counterbalance, and then they use a pulling motion with that hand to help them recover from their lunge very quickly. Now, the shape of the lunge. What we're doing is we are pushing off the back heel. So that back heel stays connected to the ground. So I extend, lunge, that heel and that foot remains flat on the ground. If you lunge like this, extend, lunge, and lift that heel up off the ground, you are off balance. You are in this constant state of falling forward, and you have to catch yourself with this front knee and this front foot. That is not good. So keep that back heel flat on the ground. Now, you also don't want to roll it, and this is a bad habit that even some modern competitive fencers have. You don't want to see this. Okay, I did push off that back heel, but I'm not maintaining that connection to the ground. This could injure my ankle, could trip me up, and it's just not good, healthy form. So keep that heel planted on the back, keep that back heel planted on the ground. Now, after I extend, what I'm going to do is I'm going to push off my back heel and move my front foot 1, 2 foot lengths forward. That is a standard lunge. There are other varieties of lunge, such as a demi-lunge, which is just 1 foot length forward, and a grand lunge, which is 3 foot lengths forward. But we're going to do a standard lunge of 1, 2 foot lengths. The back leg should be totally straight. My front leg should be at a 90-degree angle with my knee above my front heel. My front toe and my front knee are pointed forward, on line with my partner, and my eyes and shoulders are here as well with that extension. To recover, I'm going to pull from my back knee as I pull in with my arm to recover backwards. That is a recover back with a lunge. Now you can also recover forward. It looks like this. Extend, lunge, and recover forward. I just lift up and pull my back foot in back into an en-garde position. And of course I can do this left foot forward as well. And extend, lunge, and recover forward, and so on and so forth. And there are other fancy varieties of lunges which we will hopefully get to in some other lessons. Okay, so that's a lunge. Hopefully you've had a chance to practice that. Now, take a look at the previous video on thrust attacks, and then I will be back with an exercise that puts those two things together. Have fun. Excuse me. We're going to keep all of our thrust attacks in the low line for now. The targets are going to be in the center of the upper hips, right here and here. They'll be on line with our low line attacks at the bottom of the pockets. We're just moving it toward the center of the hip. Now you might be surprised to hear that we're going to be targeting on line. And here's the rule. If we are at appropriate fighting measure, then we are out of distance. Okay, appropriate fighting measure means that if I am in an en-garde position sunk down, and I fully extend my blade towards my partner's chest, there's going to be a good 12 to 16 inches from the tip of the sword to our partner's chest, right there, which means we are out of distance. If we are in proper fighting measure, I can swing my blade fully extended and I'm not going to worry about hitting them unless one of us is leaning forward and weight shifted. So the rule is, if I target from out of distance, I can target on line. If, however, we make a mistake and we get too close, then I can't target on line and then I have to target offline. So if you are in distance, you target offline. If you are out of distance, or at appropriate fighting measure, then you are allowed to target these thrust attacks on line. And the parry will simply move them offline. Okay, so here's the sequence. What a thrust attack looks like. I make eye contact, weight shift back, spot the target. I extend the blade without weight shifting, and then the bodies move, and then I am parried. The blade always moves first. The blade moves first, and then pulls the body with. I do not want to see this. I do not want to see moving and then thrusting. Now that feels very natural. It is extremely dangerous, and we are not going to do that. The blade has to move first. There's several reasons for this. One of the reasons is a martial reason. In a real sword fight, you need to show your opponent that you are attacking them. That's the only way that you can safely deliver the attack. If your opponent doesn't know that you are attacking them and you close distance and they don't see the attack, they are very likely to attack you back. And if both of you attack at the same time, you're both going to die. Now, your number one goal is to survive the fight, not necessarily to kill the other person. You want to survive first and foremost. And then if you survive, then you want to do damage to your opponent. So you have to show your opponent, look, I am attacking you. I'm going to get close to you now. If you want to attack me safely, you have to first deal with my attack before you attack me back. Now the problem is when we're doing stage combat or even when we're competitive sport fencing, there's no real danger there. We're never worried that our partner is actually going to harm us. And as a result, we get really loose with these rules and we start doing things that would be extremely dangerous in a real fight. And in competitive fencing, that's why they developed a series of rules called right-of-way. In competitive fencing, you actually do have to tell a story to an audience. Every bout or match in a competitive fencing tournament will have a director. And they are standing off to the side, and they are literally an audience member, and the fencers have to tell him or her or them a story about who is attacking who first. The person that initiates the attack first has right-of-way. Their opponent cannot launch a counterattack until they deal with that attack. Because if they did and they both got hit, they would both be dead in real life. This is to simulate what it's like in an actual fight, since there is no real danger. And in a theater show, we still need to do the same thing. We're telling a story for the audience. We need to show the audience who is attacking who first. And that is why we extend the weapon first. Now, we've been doing this all along. When we start to attack, we begin by prepping the attack, and then we start by moving the blade and the body follows as we commit to the attack. But it becomes even more important that we really show this and fully extend the attack with the thrust attacks. There's no snapping motion at the very end, so we can fully extend the thrust attack before we start to move. And here's the other reason why we do this. It is safety. When we are in our en garde position and I weight shift back, my partner weight shifts forward with me. Then I need to fully extend my weapon, and then I am showing my partner how much distance and space there is between the tip of my blade and my target. Then as we move together, we maintain that amount of space. If, on the other hand, I wait to extend my blade and we start to move, we might not maintain that space because neither one of us can see it as well. And then we might be too close, and now when I extend my blade, I'm no longer at a safe distance. I'm still targeting online, and I thrust my blade and I put my partner in danger. So it's extremely important that you extend the blade all the way first, and then the bodies move. And I'm very, very serious about this. If you submit this video and you show me that you are moving your body first before the blade is fully extended, I am going to give you a 0. I promise you. Cross my heart, swear to die, you will get a 0 for this assignment. I don't care if you turned it in the day before the term is due. If you move the day before the term is over and there's no chance for you to make it up, if you move forward before you extend that blade, you're getting a 0. Even if it's the difference between flunking you and passing you, I will take the heat from the principal. You're not getting any score on this assignment unless you extend the blade fully before the body moves. So let's take a look at this one more time. I'm in an en garde position. I make eye contact with my partner. I weight shift back, and as I do that, I prep my attack. My sword is pointing on line at my target. I fully extend my blade without weight shifting forward. My partner sees the space between the tip of my blade and their target. They pass back and I pass forward with them, ending weight shifted forward, and then they parry my blade, moving it out of the way. That is the complete sequence for a thrust attack. One more time, a little faster. Eye contact, prep, spot the target. Extend, they start to move, I move with them, end weight shifted forward, and then the parry comes at the very end. Here it is from another angle. Weight shift and prep, extend, movement, weight shifted forward, parry. Okay, now a few other things that you should be noticing here. First off, when I am prepping with my right hand or my dominant hand pronated, and I am prepping towards my dominant hip. In this case, it's my rear hip. If I was left-handed doing this, I would put my right foot forward first for this exercise, and I would pronate my left hand and hold it in front of my left hip. Now it's very important that I keep my weapon pronated here, because when they parry, I do want them to parry on an edge. Doesn't matter to me if it's the true edge or the false edge, I need them to parry on an edge, not on the flat. So I don't hold my blade like this where they're going to parry here, I hold my blade like this where they will parry here. So I keep my blade totally flat as I extend. Weight shift forward, prep, extend, I keep it flat, we pass, and I am parried. And that's the thrust attack. It's me again. I've got my rapier here, and now we're going to do a very simple exercise that marries a lunge with a thrust attack together. Let's take a look. You can start with either foot forward, but I'd recommend you start with your dominant foot forward. That's the foot, usually, that's attached to your dominant hand. We're going to start in en garde position, and we are going to make eye contact, weight shift back, and spot a target for a thrust attack. This is a low-line thrust attack. We then extend our blade without weight shifting or moving forward. We're waiting for our partner to move back, and as soon as our partner does, then we are going to lunge. Then we are going to recover forward, and we're going to do a redoublement, where we then extend again, lunge again, and then recover back. So it's a lunge, recover forward, lunge, recover back. The sword hand collapses in between so that it can fully extend again. Now the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to make sure that I see at least twice that you are extending that blade before you make a movement with your body. So let's take a look at that exercise from a couple different angles. Here we go. And eye contact, prep, I'm weight shifted back, extend, lunge, recover forward, extend, lunge, recover back. And from a different angle, en garde, weight shift, prep, extend, lunge, recover forward, redouble, extend, lunge, recover back. And I can do it left-handed. En garde, weight shift back to prep, extend, lunge, recover forward, extend, lunge, recover back. All right, that's the exercise. The next video will be the second half of that original thrust attack video where we get into ripostes. Have fun.